Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Crash and today we're taking a look at Weekly Shonen Jump's table of contents. So for those that don't know what that is, I did talk a little bit about it on the video where I rated the newbies of Jump, but I'm going to reiterate most of what I said there in this video. The table of contents, or TOC, is the last page of any issue of Weekly Shonen Jump, and just like any other table of contents, it serves as an index and tells you where each manga in that issue starts. Now, you might be wondering why is that relevant to anything and why should you care? And I know the thumbnail says it doesn't matter, but the truth is a lot of Jump fans, myself included, eagerly await the TOC leaks to see which manga are going to be at the top and which are going to be at the bottom. As for why, well, the answer is relatively simple. The most popular manga are pushed to the forefront of the magazine, while the least successful are relegated to the back. Looking long enough at the table of contents, you'll easily reach this conclusion as well. I mean, One Piece is always on the top 3 first manga. But even more obvious, the manga that opens the magazine is always the same as the one on the cover. There was a case recently on issue number 49 where Black Clover was the cover, but the opener was Chainsaw Man. But honestly, that case was so rare that it's not even worth taking into account. And it makes sense then that the opener, at the bare minimum, is a manga that's worth being a cover manga. And Jump rarely gives that honor to rookie manga. If we're looking at the covers, it's more common to see Dr. Stone, Jujutsu Kaisen, My Hero Academia, One Piece. A lot of One Piece. I think 1/3 of the covers are One Piece themed, and we should note that when the covers are group themed, which has all the main characters pop up in the cover, One Piece is the opener either way. As a final note about openers and covers, whenever a manga debuts, it does get a cover as well. But the opener is not the only interesting thing about the table of contents, the other being the bottom 5. The bottom 5 places are the scariest place for your favorite manga to be. If your manga dips into these spots, it's game over. It died and you should start panicking right about now. No. Well, kinda, but no. And this is one of the parts where I think people shouldn't give as much importance to, at the very least, every individual table of contents, which a lot of them do. The thing about the bottom 5 is that, yes, this is the position where the next to go are often put. There's no two ways about it. The X manga are very often in these 5 spots for months and months in a row. And to be fair, I see everyone talk about a bottom 5. Personally, I think the bottom 3 is where the manga are generally put, and the other 2 spots more often than not shuffle between other manga. For example, Mago-chan was bottom 4 this week, but it got a cover page, which is a bigger deal than being in the bottom 5. The most important thing you should take into account is the frequency of how it happens. If a manga has been on the very bottom of the magazine for like 2 months, yeah, the fans should be worried. I remember Chainsaw Man being at the bottom 5 like 2 or 3 times in a very short span of time, and a lot of people were panicking and freaking out, and there was no need, because just because your manga is on the bottom 5 every once in a while, it doesn't necessarily mean it's getting cancelled soon, especially when there are a lot of open spots in the magazine. A lot of people just look at a table of contents and as an absolute ranking of the manga in it, with the theory going that is based on the 7th chapter before. Whenever I see the table of contents being published in Twitter, I always see people complaining or celebrating the positions of their favorite manga. And this goes as far as complaining that Black Clover is on 5th place when Jujutsu Kaisen is on 7th, when I'm just going to tell you right now, it doesn't matter. That thumbnail doesn't matter, it's this one right here. Your manga being 1 spot above or below other that you don't like doesn't matter at all. It reflects nothing on the overall quality of it, nor the quality of 7 chapters ago. All it does is telling that your manga is doing okay and it's on Jump in that particular issue. So just stop doing that in general. The ranking theory probably stems from the fact that there is an actual ranking each issue. This first came to my knowledge, and I assume a lot of other people's knowledge, with 2009's Bakuman, a manga about being a mangaka in Shonen Jump by veteran duo Obata and Hoba, also known for being the minds behind Death Note. And Obata was already a giant veteran of the business, with his first serialization being as far back as 1989. So who better to talk about what goes behind the scenes than them? Bakuman talks about a lot of stuff that happens in Jump, but focuses on the chapter rankings. Each issue of Jump has a survey for the fans to fill and send back. The survey asks what are the fans' favorite 3 chapters of that particular issue. And Jump editorial goes through all of the surveys to make a ranking of the popularity based solely on that. This is the element that brings Bakuman to be more of a sports manga, with the mangaka competing heavily to surpass the others in these rankings. but rankings aren't necessarily an invention of Bakuman. The surveys really do exist, so it's natural that the actual rankings do too. With that information and the fact that table of contents do reflect somewhat the popularity of manga, something that was also noted in Bakuman, it's perhaps natural that people would assume that the two are one and the same. And the theory tells us that it takes up to 7 weeks for Jump to analyze the surveys, which should then make it so that the table of contents was the rankings of 7 chapters ago. And I'm not even sure if the 7-week rule is true. I think it might be because manga don't drop in the bottom 5 in the first 7 chapters or so, regardless of how bad they are. But I couldn't find any source that wasn't word of mouth, so if you do have a source, please comment below with it, because I'm very curious about that. In Bakuman, they were very fast at reading results, but Bakuman is still fiction at the end of the day. The thing is, the TOC simply isn't those rankings. Not really. I'm sure it has them into account, and it should also have into account the sales and overall popularity of the manga in general. But the editor-in-chief also has to decide which manga gets the color pages, which manga could use to boost the marketing. If a manga is celebrating an anniversary or a milestone chapter or is having a major announcement, this may bring a boost in their position in that particular issue. The table of contents will never represent the pure rankings, and even if it did, sales are also very important, probably even more than those rankings. So if you're going to go insane about a position, maybe the Oricon and the Shoseki positions can serve as a better alternative. Take the table of contents positions lightly, and see it as a rough guide into the popularity of the manga. And if your favorite manga is not at the top and it's not at the bottom, chances are the manga is doing okay, and it's not going anywhere that soon. Relax. And if you watch it till here, thank you very much, and I'll see you next video.